Sao?
Hôm nay em vừa đi dạy tiếng Việt về xong.
Thế à?
Em đã rất cố gắng dạy dấu hỏi cho học sinh. Nhưng mà em cứ thấy khó giải thích cho học sinh thế nào ấy. Nên em buồn quá.
Anh đồng ý là dấu hỏi là dấu khó nhất. Bạn nào đã học tiếng Việt lâu rồi cũng nhận ra là dấu hỏi là dấu khó nhất. Có thể là bạn đã hỏi bản thân những câu hỏi như thế này. Tại sao mỗi người Việt Nam đều có ý kiến khác về phát âm của nó? Tại sao giáo viên của mình cứ thay đổi cách phát âm của nó mỗi khi dạy mình? Và nó khác với dấu huyền như thế nào? Đừng lo nữa. Mặc dù chắc chắn là dấu hỏi rất khó, nhưng những thắc mắc trên đều có câu trả lời hợp lý. Chỉ cần đừng rời mắt khỏi video này, bạn sẽ khám phá ra những lý do bạn thấy dấu hỏi rất khó và cách để sửa vấn đề này luôn. Để mình nói bằng tiếng Anh cho rõ hơn nhé.
Ok, em cũng cảm thấy rất hào hứng khi nghe một người học tiếng Việt chia sẻ về vấn đề này, chia sẻ về cách nhìn về dấu hỏi cũng như là những khó khăn khi học dấu hỏi. Nên là bây giờ em sẽ nhường sân khấu cho anh John nhá. Bye bye.
Bye em. So the first problem is that it's not a graph. Something that comes up a lot in classrooms is that the typical way to teach tones is using hand signals and graphs. But that doesn't really work for dấu hỏi at all. Someone's probably explained to you that the symbols they use for the tones match the pronunciation. So for example, dấu sắc goes up. It goes up with your hands. Dấu sắc. And dấu huyền goes down. You go down with your hands. Dấu nặng is really sharp. So it's like a dot nặng. And dấu ngã is kind of wavy, I guess. You kind of go up with your voice. It kind of works. But then when you get to dấu hỏi, it just breaks down completely. Hỏi isn't a graph. You can't follow this with your voice. But that's not obvious to Vietnamese people. They think that hỏi sounds exactly like this because it's their native language. But for a foreigner, it makes no sense and you can't learn it that way. The reason dấu hỏi looks like this is because Alexander de Rhodes, the Portuguese guy who invented the Vietnamese alphabet, heard dấu hỏi and thought it sounded like a question, so he used the question mark. The shape of the symbol has nothing to do with its pronunciation, as much as Vietnamese people love to argue otherwise. So what would the real hỏi graph look like? Well, it would probably look something like this. But we'll talk more about that later, because there's a lot of problems with this, such as unlike the simpler tones, such as ngã and huyền, there's actually lots of different but equally correct ways to pronounce dấu hỏi, even within one dialect. So for example, here in Hanoi, hỏi, 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 the hỏi are all easily understood as being dấu hỏi. The way they choose to pronounce it depends on the stress, the emphasis, how quickly they are speaking for, and the place of the word within the sentence. When speaking in isolation, Vietnamese people tend to emphasize all of the hỏi features. So for example, they say hỏi, but you'll find that doesn't really reflect its use in daily speech. Hanoians, especially when they're speaking quickly, they like to cut out the rising ending of the word. So they wouldn't say hi, but more like hi. Listen to the word phải in the sentence cô ấy không phải là vợ của mình, or the word của in the sentence vợ này là của ai. You'll notice that the pitch didn't rise at the end at all. Now compare this with the same word phải in the sentence không phải, as in that's not true. The really strong rising ending. That's because Vietnamese people like to use the rising ending to add stress. But you can't really use that in just a regular sentence. It would be highly unnatural to say something like bố của tôi không phải là người Việt Nam. So if you feel like dấu hỏi changes every time you listen to it, you might actually be correct. Here's a short list of some of the different ways it's pronounced for different reasons. So the first one is that if you really want to stress something, you start high, you go low, and then you go high again. Ví dụ, không phải. But you don't speak like that in a regular sentence. That's too much stress. If you're using a regular amount of stress, you start medium high, you go low, but then you don't come back up again. So it's just start high, go low sharply. For example, tôi không thể làm việc đó. If you're using a simple grammatical word, such as của or để, you don't really rise at the end, and you don't really start high either. It's just a low, sharp sort of tone. So for example, cái đó không phải là của tôi. Listen to the word của again. Cái đó không phải là của tôi. And lastly, if you have two high words in a row, you kind of de-stress the first one, and then you add more stress to the second one. So for example, in the sentence, tôi là bé khổ, you have to kind of cut the first one low, and then the second one starts high, like in phải. So tôi là bé khổ. You don't want to pronounce them both really sharply. Like you can't say tôi là bé khổ. That sounds really unnatural. I know that's a lot of rules to take in, but don't overthink it. The important thing to do is just listen to how Vietnamese people use these different variations of the high tone, and then see if you can figure out why they did it that way. The fact that the pronunciation can change depending on the mood or context can really confuse students. This is something that I've seen more than once.
Okay, it's like hỏi.
Hi.
Exactly hỏi.
Wait, I thought you just said it was like hi.
I did say hỏi.
You're changing it. Before you said it was hi, and now you're saying it's hi.
No, it's just the same hỏi.
I've been the confused student in that situation before, where I didn't understand why the teacher kept changing the pronunciation, but I also didn't really want to push it either. But the problem is, your teacher is probably just as confused about this as you are. Because for the average Vietnamese person, hi and hi sound exactly the same, unless they're unusually perceptive. This is because of something linguists call allophones, which are like different ways of representing the same sound. English has them too. For example, the t in top probably sounds exactly the same to you as the t in stop. But if you asked a Vietnamese speaker, they would easily recognize that the t in top is aspirated, whereas the t in stop is unaspirated. This means you could say that the t in stop and top are allophones of each other, because they represent the same sound to us. Why does this matter? Because it's notoriously difficult for native speakers to tell the difference between allophones in their own language. Just as it might seem completely bizarre to you that the t sound in stop and top are completely different, the idea that there's different hi sounds, like for that hi is actually different to hi, is actually very non-obvious to most Vietnamese people. So if you feel like your teacher keeps changing the way she's saying zo hi, you're probably correct. But don't worry. Instead of spending time trying to get them to give you one correct way of saying zo hi, just pay attention to all of the different ways that they're saying it. They're all equally correct. What makes Vietnamese especially difficult, even compared to other East Asian tonal languages like Thai and Chinese, is that you need to change more than just your pitch. Thai and Chinese are relatively simple in the sense you just have to follow the pitch with your voice. But Vietnamese requires you to pay attention to your voice quality too. It means you have to focus on both your creakiness and the breathiness of your voice. You might already know that zonang is less about pitch than it is about glottalization, which is using your throat to cut off the word, zonang. And similarly, with zongã isn't just a rising tone, it's a rising creaky tone. You can't just keep your voice rising and smooth, like ngã, because that sounds like zo sa. You have to make it creaky, like ngã. Zo hi is similar. Ideally, you should start with a breathy high and a creaky low. For example, hi. But that creaky low is by far the most important part. You'll find that all pronunciations of hi, both the northern hi and the southern hi, all have a low creakiness in them. You do the same thing even when you're speaking quickly. The low creak should be the only thing you leave in the tone. Listen to the word của in the sentence cái kia là của tôi. It's just của, low and creaky. Incidentally, this is the easiest way to distinguish between hi and huyen when people are speaking quickly. The huyen is low and smooth, whereas the hi is low and creaky. Listen again to the difference between the word la and của in the sentence Cái kia là của tôi. The là is smooth and the của is creaky. Remember that in Vietnamese, the voice quality is just as important as your voice pitch when you're trying to pronounce a tone. So if you feel like dấu hỏi is the most bizarre of all the Vietnamese tones, you're not alone. It's far more complicated than it looks at first glance. Bởi mở cửa hỏi ổi, ổi bỏ củi chua, chua, ổi bại wow bạo.
Nói cái gì đấy?
Em không hiểu á?
Không.
Thật á?
Không, anh nói tốt mà.
Ok em. Các bạn thấy phần giải thích của bọn mình dễ hiểu không?
Nếu các bạn có ý kiến khác về dấu hỏi hay thắc mắc gì, hãy cho chúng mình biết ở phần bình luận bên dưới nhé.
Mình sẽ làm thêm video về phát âm tiếng Việt với TVO. Nếu
các bạn thích, hãy nhớ ấn like, subscribe để đón xem các video mới hàng tuần của chúng mình nhé. Mình là Khánh Huyền, giáo viên của Tieng Viet Oi.
Mình là John Hartman, học sinh của Tieng Viet Oi.
Cảm ơn các bạn và hẹn gặp lại các bạn trong các video lần sau. Tạm biệt.
Bye nhé, tạm biệt.